Hi, I am Doug Aiken, and I founded Synesthesia to provide a great analog tool to help with UI/UX design. It all started years ago when I was learning web design for PCs like this. Wow, is that heavy? I came up with the drawing tool to better visualize how my sketches would actually look on the screen. The drawing space was close to a typical computer screen, and the grid was 10 pixel by 10 pixel. But that was 10 years ago. So I decided to reboot the idea of a tool focused on mobile phones like this, and the result is the Synesthesia pad. So why use analog paper instead of a digital tool? By disconnecting from our digital world, the physical act of sketching provides tactile, visual, and intellectual excitement. During the design cycle, time is at a premium. Hand-drawn sketching can allow for faster expression of ideas. And if you want to kill the idea, what you can do is you can literally stab the sketch with a pen like this. But what if you change your mind? You simply rip the pen out and then allow the magical healing powers of Synesthesia to restore itself, and you're back where you started. This is a great tool for team interaction. Everyone can quickly draw content, and then the team can collaborate on moving the sketches to different areas of the storyboard. Now the synergy of the team is pulled into focus by writing on paper and moving sheets. There is also value on the project management side. The UI/UX designer can do the initial wireframing by drawing on paper and then bring it into a wireframing tool. Additionally, this can help the client in creating a rough idea of the project. That would assist in communication with the project manager. So there you have it. My goal is to provide a great tool to help during the storyboarding and wireframing segment of app, game, and site designs created for viewing on a mobile phone. You'll want to watch the rest of this presentation, as there will be additional magic later in the presentation. That isn't the magic I'm talking about, but that's pretty weird to watch, isn't it? The magic we're really talking about is the magic of creativity. It is the magic of imagination. Albert Einstein stated that imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Sir Ken Robinson stated that creativity is the process of having original ideas that have value. Creativity leads to unique solutions that expand opportunities. A great example of a creative solution with high value is the iPhone. For many years, Apple used the slogan, "Think Different." And by allowing their designers to think about the word different, they were able to create a solution that combines a mobile phone with a computer and a package that fits into your pocket. And that brilliant innovation helped make Apple the most valuable company in the world. Another favorite quote is by Jim Rohn, who stated, "You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour." And one of the ways of bringing more value to the hour is by tapping into our creative abilities, and that is a vital process. This is truly a real power that we all have that can be manifested by opening our hearts and minds to all that is possible. One could define creativity as taking an idea from its original form and then transforming it into a different form. This is a fundamental skill that has enabled the human species to dramatically change its state of being. But not all of us cultivate our creative abilities because we do not view ourselves as artists or people of artistic endeavors. Much has been shared about enhancing the creative process. It could be by allowing random thoughts to enter our minds. It could be by thinking about a concept before we go to sleep and then allowing our subconscious to work on that idea. It could come from spending more time with creative people. It could come from being silly and having fun. It could come from taking risks and not being afraid of failure. It could come from constant questioning. It could come from by combining illogical ideas such as 3D printing with pastry filling. It could come from being engaged in creative activities that are new and unique to you. Sir Ken Robinson also stated that creativity is as important in school as literacy. Some of the most creative people in history include Miles Davis, Oprah Winfrey, David Bowie, Pablo Picasso, George O'Keeffe, Thomas Edison, Frida Kahlo, Coco Chanel, Salvador Dali, Isaac Newton, Marie Curie, Carole King, Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, Maya Angelou, Albert Einstein, the Beatles, Joni Mitchell, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, J.K. Rowling, and Leonardo da Vinci. And what do they have in common? They all put pen or pencil to paper to express their thoughts. But even if you do not become one of these creative geniuses, what can be done to increase our creativity? Here are 10 points to help you make that happen. Point one is to create a work routine that maximizes your talent and then stay with it. The business day is designed so everyone can perform tasks at the same time. Trains carry commuters in the mornings and the evenings, people would answer their phones, and everyone can work together. Nowadays, with telecommuting, a global economy, and modern communication, this isn't as important. Therefore, there is no reason why it should be done when you work. Most creative people in the world have almost never kept standard hours of work. As we have seen previously, early hours are common for creative people. Immanuel Kant got up at 5 a.m. each morning to start work, and most writers find the breaking of dawn and waking mind ideal for creation. Lately, however, hours are more common, particularly among creatives in the design industry or developers. If the option is available for you, work whenever you feel best. This might be early in the morning, it might be at night, but finding the right routine for you is important for creative tasks. Unfortunately, modern life seems to reward people who are work machines. We idolize those people who work all hours and focus entirely on that. Though they may be quickly successful, in the long term, such people will burn out. Your brain and body needs time to recuperate and relax for you to come up with the best ideas and be your most creative. This may be as simple as setting a strict routine and making sure your work stays within those boundaries, or your mind might need more reinvigoration each day. So meditation is highly prevalent among the creative community. Sting, David Lynch, Hugh Jackman are all meditators. And just a few minutes per day of contemplative thought can improve the brain's ability to think creatively. When all this comes together, then the best minds get in the zone. Easily one of the most important traits that the most creative people exhibit is the ability to get lost in their work and go with the flow. This ability to get in the zone, remove outside distractions, and get on with their work is obviously important for success, but is also one of the most difficult to master. It requires a lot of things to go right. But if you can figure it out over time, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you'll start to find those moments when you look up from your work and realize the day has gone by without you noticing, becoming more and more frequent. Point two is to know your worst work, not just your best work. As important as it is to know when you're at your best, it's also important to recognize when you're not performing at your optimum. Highly creative people are often easily bored as their minds are always after something to occupy them. Again, they might therefore create specific routines to make sure they're always on task and concerned with the matter at hand. Either that or they will build their lives and work around multiple smaller activities to make sure they do not get easily bogged down and bored with one thing at a time. As they get bored easily, creative people can often become the world's most willful procrastinators. Though they should be doing one thing, their minds are often on something else and they can get easily distracted. This leads to the bad version of the above, when you look up from YouTube and realize the day has gone by. Again, specific rituals and routines can abate this and make sure that they get the code, article, presentation, etc. done on time, even if it is at the last minute. After all, the greatest inspiration is the deadline. Point three is to have a strong interest in new experiences. A theme among highly creative people is that they will try and surround themselves with beauty and can see the beauty everywhere and even in the most mundane of circumstances. Synesthesia might be a clue here. Synesthesia is a condition where senses get confused and overlap. Synesthetes can therefore see sounds or feel tastes. One synesthete described chicken as spiky, and it is a condition prevalent in some of the most creative people in history. The painter Kandinsky was a synesthete, as was the writer Nabokov. For these people, everyday words or objects can have different colors or sounds associated with them that are out of reach for most people. It may be that a lower level version of this is prevalent in most creative people, giving them the ability to perceive objects, words, and numbers in ways that we cannot understand. Another common theme in creative people is that their creativity is not restricted to a single outlet. Einstein was a keen violinist and would take his beloved violin everywhere he traveled around the world. Perhaps because they have such an active mind, they need multiple ways to satiate their diet of creativity. You should look to express yourselves in many ways as possible and to search out for new avenues of creative and artistic expression. Point four is to know what you don't like. Once you know what you do like and what gets your creative juices flowing, you should try and find out what dams your mind and stops you from expressing yourself. A lot of creative people have issues around boundaries and rules. In particular, they don't like to follow pointless rules and will often try to circumvent rules they do not think they need to follow. The French Impressionists of the late 19th century are a good example of people who didn't play by the rules and didn't like the boundaries that their world was imposing on them. Their work was so abstract by the standards of the time that it was shunned and rejected by the top galleries. This didn't stop them, however, and now Monet, Renoir, and Degas are amongst the most famous names from that time. I'm not saying you should step out and break all the rules going, but be wary of constraints upon you and see where you can break or at least bend any rules that are hurting your creativity. Point 5 is to take risks and accept failure. Being able to fail is a big part of any creativity. No one is good the first time, so the ability to deal with failure and learn from mistakes is imperative if you want to succeed. Essentially, successful people play by the law of averages, choosing to try as much as possible, knowing that eventually something will stick. In this way, they are prolific, whereas most people will get disheartened after failing once or twice. Successful people know they have to be friends with failure to get through to success on the other side. Just as you have to be friends with failure, you have to be ready to take risks if you are to be successful creatively. They don't limit themselves and go out on a limb, seeing that the reward is often worth taking a risk. A common theme with successful people in any sphere of human endeavor is the ability to step up to the challenge. Whereas most people will shy away from obstacles in their life, successful people will see these as challenges to overcome and will push themselves. These are highly creative people, often see life as something to be grabbed and challenged rather than something to shrink away from. They are good at not giving in and stubbornly pressing ahead, even after failure. You might call this stubbornness, or you might call it optimism, but it is vital if you want to succeed. After any failure, you have to move on quickly and not dwell on issues or problems. Though you shouldn't set yourself up for failure, you should embrace it when it comes. The learning experience from mistakes is important for your next idea to fuel creativity. Point 6 is to allow yourself to daydream. Daydreaming has negative connotations in society. Daydreamers are seen as unproductive and unintelligent, but daydreaming is one of the most important habits that we have, especially for creative people. Daydreaming is just allowing your imagination to run free within your brain. When you allow your brain some downtime, it can significantly improve your creative abilities. It might even improve your memory. Never be worried or ashamed that you daydream, as what you're really doing is allowing your brain to do what it does best: think. Sometimes even thinking is frowned upon, but highly creative people usually enjoy just thinking. We often see it as weird if someone is content to sit there quietly, just inside their own head, but creativity requires this focus and thought to germinate. These kind of people are also the type who think for fun. You might find that they enjoy a puzzle or a crossword, and you might be likely to find them at the local bar on quiz night. So let your mind wander and see what it comes up with. Point 7 is to take in the world around us. When they are not daydreaming and letting their minds work, they should be watching the world go round and fueling the fire of creativity. Curiosity is paramount for a highly creative person. Painters will understand how people move, and writers will understand how people speak. They take in their surroundings and draw inspiration from anything and everything around them. Personal experience is important as well. The more you do in your life, the more your mind will be able to create. New experiences are really opportunities for creative people, more inspiration to draw upon. Though you might prefer to sit at home in front of a computer, notepad, or canvas, it is better to just go out and experience something new so that you have adventures to describe. Point 8 is to have confidence. Though the concept of creativity is often closely linked to the arts and only a handful of people are considered creative within society, I actually think that almost everyone has significant creative capacity, and it's only a lack of confidence that holds them back. Usually this confidence is eroded early in life when they were told their ideas just weren't very good. But however it happened, most people have zero confidence in their own creative abilities. The people that do are the people that succeed. Having confidence in your abilities is also closely linked to the ability to fail. If you're confident that you're on track, you are more likely to be able to take criticism and negative feedback well and to learn from your mistakes. Of course, you also need to have the confidence to push ahead with your ideas, even in the face of criticism, and this is a fine line to tread. But again, it doesn't matter if you fail, just as long as you learn from your failure for the next idea. For a highly creative person, this ability to trust themselves and to trust what they know that they're doing and to be able to perform each time means that they can keep going even when others are telling them to stop. They also know that sometimes they are their own worst enemies. Sabotaging yourself with procrastination or anxiety is very common and an issue that most creative people get past. This might be through changes to your routine or the simple ability to learn from your mistakes and to see that you are getting better with each new idea. Point 9 is to not be afraid to ask questions. You have to be curious if you are to be creative. Creative people are always asking questions and asking the right questions. Whereas they might spend a lot of time in their own heads, they also need to understand what is in other people's heads. This is often the difference between success and failure. The best understand that they need guidance and are humble. They do not know it all and understand their own limitations. Part of this might be realizing that other people can do something better than you. Building the best team to attack the task at hand is a much better strategy than trying to attempt everything yourself. Top companies built by luminaries such as Steve Jobs at Apple, Bill Gates at Microsoft, or Elon Musk at Tesla are a testament to this. They may all be creative individuals, but they know that to really succeed, they need the brightest minds around them. Having teams or collaborations is not just a matter of filling skills or gaps either. Teams allow you to see more connections and to bounce ideas off other thinkers, meaning more problems can be discovered and ultimately solved. Creativity grows from knowledge that you need constant fuel for creativity. The more questions you ask, the smarter you're going to get and the better ideas you're going to have. Though it may seem as though it's a sign of weakness to ask questions and admit, I don't know, actually it requires a lot of confidence to submit to another. But the more you do it, the more questions you ask, the more creative you'll become. And finally, point 10 is to follow your dreams. You are far more likely to be creative in an area that you truly enjoy and love rather than in a job that you have no real desire for. Though you can definitely find love for any work you do, most creative people choose to follow the path of their passions no matter how difficult that might be. You might be told to get a real job, but if you choose to follow your true passions, then that is more of a real job than anything else could ever be. But a big obstacle of creativity is forgetting. The solution is to write it down. Writing frees us to move our attention to other tasks. When you are struck by a creative thought, you must quickly write it down. Otherwise, the idea could elude you. It is for that reason that many times wireframing is done with pen and paper. For example, the app for Amada Health probably started with a sketch similar to this. After the sketching was done, the designers and coders then worked as a team and presented digital mock-ups to the client. And that is how you end up with a successful app design that looks similar to this. How valuable is this idea? Think of the time saved during the initial creation of the project. Think of the value created by opening creativity. Think of the money saved generating wireframes and storyboards. All of this adds up to a lot of money. My name is Doug Aiken, and the tool is Synesthesia. Let's connect and see how I can help you.